If industrial is widened, it will be 10 lanes wide at its widest point, and it will have a mix of local and non-local traffic, requiring flyovers of 6 to 7 stories at points such as the Calatrava and historic bridges, and almost definitely cut off I-35 access to Oak Cliff. Please explain how the industrial road will stimulate sustainable mixed-use development in the narrowed sliver of land between the 10-lane road and the levee, or in the shadow of the elevated roads and the levee.
The industrial alternative, it's interesting that they're talking about a 10-lane wide road on industrial and a 4 to 6 lane road inside the levees. Industrial option in the beginning cost more, both at grade, which means at the surface, and elevated. So actually, when you talk about the 7 alternatives that are being studied, the only one that was ever really seriously studied was the one in between the levees. If you do industrial, or I should say if you do the toll road in between the levees, you know what you're going to be having? They talk about bridges. You're going to be having things like toll booths under our bridges. Think about the picture of a Calatrava bridge with a toll booth under it. I don't think that's the image that we want. You can have a toll road along industrial coexist with good economic development, just like Preston Center along the Dallas North Toll Road coexists, and that is a high-end retail center next to a toll road. You can have that along industrial. The idea that we can't put it along industrial because of delays, I'd like to remind you of 2 other projects in this city, and they kind of set a precedent for this. We had a long delay while we decided as a city how we were going to reconstruct Central Expressway to make it work. And the original idea was, let's double-deck Central Expressway. And the city and the state got together and agreed that would be a good solution. And the public, the residents along the road, and the businesses said, wait a minute, we don't like that idea. Let's stop. Let's take a look at this and come up with something better. And that's exactly what they did. And one of the leaders of that effort happened to be a League of Women Voters member, and Walt Heumann and others, and they came up with a wonderful solution that everybody could agree on and move forward. Now let's move to LBJ. That's a road badly in need of reconstruction. It was studied for years. In 1991, they came up with what's called a locally preferred alternative. That means that the city officials and the state officials and TxDOT, the highway department, they all signed off on it. It was going to be 24 lanes wide of concrete. The businesses in the neighborhoods along there said, wait a minute, we're not going to do that. We can do better. And they redid it, and yes, it took a little longer. And yes, it was a little more expensive, as was Central. They came up with a solution that everybody applauded, and they're moving forward. We can do that here, or we can be ramrodded into saying
I think the time's up.
The only thing we can do is between the levees.
Well, the interesting thing about the 10-lane issue.
Yeah, it's not a back and forth. It's your turn to ask be asked a question now.
I was going to say that there will be rebuttal time afterwards.
Yes.
So if you just jot down all your points that you want to discuss, everybody will have 3 minutes for a rebuttal.